In today's episode, we are picking up where we left off in our recent video in Berlin, Germany. Today, we will be taking you along with our travelers to Dresden, Prague, Munich, Salzburg, Hallstatt, and Vienna. And then we are finishing up our trip with a surprise visit to Budapest. We're going to share some incredible sights along with some amazing vintage treasure hunting. And stay tuned till the end because you will not believe what we found in Budapest. We were in Dresden, Germany for something very unique, the Stollen Fest, and we were able to watch the entire parade. It's a fascinating historical tradition that has been brought back to life in Germany, a once forgotten tradition that they now celebrate, and the entire town, along with all the tourists like ourselves, come out for this special event. It was fascinating to see how much excitement there was about a Christmas cake. They literally used a John Deere tractor to pull out the giant Stollen cake. This was the first time I've ever seen a cake that literally weighed tons. It's quite the event, and if you ever happen to be in Dresden during this time of year, even if you're not a cake person, at least come out and catch the parade. A fun fact for you, this is the world's largest porcelain artwork, and it's made of approximately 23,000 porcelain tiles. It's 102 meters, which is 335 feet long. An absolute masterpiece. The city of Dresden is absolutely breathtaking, and something that I always do on our trips, no matter how busy we are or how tired I am, is I take at least one morning to get up at sunrise to walk the streets of the city with hardly anyone in it. It's just a way that I'm able to really absorb and take in the history without the distractions of the crowds. And of course, it makes for amazing filming and photography. When I started doing research on this city for this trip, trying to figure out where I wanted to take our travelers, I about fell over when I saw the pictures of this indoor flea market place.
Very much like the bins, just darker.
We ended up spending quite a lot of time as a group digging through these boxes, and it was so fun to see the different items that everyone was into, because we all have different tastes and styles, and that's one of the things I love about our group trips is that everybody's into something different. The pricing was absolutely amazing. Some of the travelers ended up getting a whole box full of stuff for I think around 10 to 15 euros. We bundled things together, so nothing was priced individually, which typically means you're gonna get a better deal if you buy more.
Oh, hold on a second. Hey.
Hey.
They're on the phone. They want to talk to you about all the stuff you're buying.
You get treasures and a Christmas tree here. These are the three that I picked. So I'm getting all of this for €5, and then she's getting all of hers for 10. Awesome. We're happy. Oh, a doorstop?
Yeah, doorstop.
She got everything in the box for only €10, and she's got 2 really unique smokers in there, the incense burners. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. And new ones are so expensive at the Christmas markets too.
After we were done finding treasures at the digger sale, we went to a few highly curated antique stores. Sometimes it feels kind of like a nice cleansing palette to end the day with a beautifully curated antique store. And we were still able to find some beautiful antiques at very reasonable prices. This was our first time in Dresden to visit the Christmas markets. And while Berlin's were outstanding and had incredible backdrops with views of the city, the Christmas markets here in Dresden feel much more quaint, and there are so many locals at these markets, which I think is just wonderful. We ended our adventures out today visiting the medieval market. I don't know why, but in almost every city, these tend to be one of my favorite markets to go to. They always tend to have very unique food items, and with the historical backdrop, it really does feel like you're going back in time. These medieval markets are just a vibe.
With the shirts.
On our way to Prague, we are stopping in the beautiful town of Seifen, Germany. We're taking a long lunch break so we can shop some of the different stores, because this town is famous for their woodworking and Christmas decorations. We have been wanting to try a currywurst for so long, and today is finally the day. It's not quite what we expected because the curry powder is actually sprinkled on top, but the flavor is actually better than I expected. Can highly recommend. One of the highlights of our visit here in the city was getting to see how they make the small wooden shade trees. These are something that I collect, so it was really neat to get to see the process of how these are actually made. Prague is one of my favorite cities in Europe, so I was so excited to bring our group here. We got so lucky on this trip and had incredible weather, and today we've got blue skies in Prague. The main Christmas market has the most stunning cathedral backdrop. All of the architecture here in Prague is just breathtaking. We are headed with the group to tour the Prague Castle, which has some of the best views of the entire city. The cathedral at the Prague Castle is beautiful. The foundation is from the 10th century, and then it had its Gothic era from 1344 to the 15th century. But it was then halted and was not completed until 1929. One of the most notable parts of the cathedral is the Last Judgment, which is a famous, stunning 14th century masterpiece. It was done by Venetian artists, and they used roughly 1 million pieces of colored glass and gold leaf. And it's one of the few surviving large-scale medieval exterior mosaics, and the condition that it is in is unbelievable. You've got to see it with your own eyes. After an amazing day seeing the city, we are ready to do some vintage shopping. So we are taking the group to one of our very favorite stores in Prague, Bric-a-Brac.
It's like a little necklace.
Yeah,
It
it's
will
almost
be?
like a charm necklace, like you
Yeah.
could get different panels, different places.
Yeah, they have a bracelet that goes with it too.
The Christmas tree, that was almost.
Yes.
I can't do it. It's too sparkly. What is wrong with me? Why can't I do sparkles? But I can do an old man hat.
Yeah.
The wonderful gentleman just showed us that this Christmas tree actually has uranium glass. Even though I didn't end up getting it, one of our travelers did, and I'm so excited for them because it is beautiful. Now we are back in one of our favorite cities in Germany, Munich, and we are actually kicking off our first full day of our second group trip. So we have a whole new group of travelers joining us for this next portion. This is my third time to the Nymphenburg Palace, and I still love this place. It is one of the most beautiful palaces. It might not be the largest or the grandest, but there's something special about this place. And I always make sure to put this one on our itinerary. I don't think I could ever do Christmas back at home without coming to Christmas markets in Europe. They really know how to celebrate and make everything feel so festive. And I just don't think Christmas could ever be the same after this.
Look what they gave him. Big as your head. It's so big. Cheers.
This is the before.
This is me before drinking this. This is me after.
So the Tollwood Winter Festival is not a traditional Christmas market, but it is definitely worth visiting if you are here during this season. It was kind of more like a circus, but it also had very Christmas market vibes too, with the glühwein and all of the food stalls. They have a massive indoor area that has much more handmade everyday goods versus Christmas gifts and decorations. But it was definitely so fun to go with the group here and just experience how they celebrate this time of year in a different country and different culture. Now it's time to board a train and we are headed to Salzburg. This is my third visit to the fortress in Salzburg, and all 3 years in a row, unfortunately, it was so foggy at the top of the fortress that I have still not seen the amazing view. Here's the view that we got to see with the group today, and here is the view of what it looks like on a clear day. I always say I like to leave something to come back for, and this view from the fortress is something that someday I'm gonna experience. They even have an adorable Christmas market inside the fortress. One of the highlights on the Munich, Salzburg, Vienna trip is actually the day trip outside of Salzburg, where we head to 3 small villages on a beautiful lake. The bigger cities can be a bit overwhelming, especially at night when the Christmas crowds come out. If you are coming to the Christmas markets in Europe, no matter what larger cities you are going to, I highly recommend sprinkling in a few smaller village visits. This day trip to the small villages is actually my favorite day on this entire itinerary.
We found my favorite potatoes in all of Austria. Wait till you see them. Fried egg on top. All the seasoning. Cheese with bacon.
Oh, Vienna, how I love this incredible city. These have to be some of the most stunning Christmas markets in all of Europe. In fact, I think the Town Hall Christmas Market actually got voted the most beautiful Christmas market in Europe this year. And I might have to agree, although I enjoy the environment of the charming small villages, Vienna is a stunning city. But now we are headed to take the travelers to one of my favorite thrift stores in Europe, the Carla. This thrift store is massive. It's so much bigger than it even looks like once you get into the store, because there's an entire back section down a hallway that's completely packed with clothes and jewelry. I'm in love with this painting. It says here on the back that it's from 1926. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, but it's beautiful and it's well worth 48 euro. This was one of their featured items, so the pricing's a little bit higher on it, but many of their bric-a-brac items are only a few euro. Like, for example, this beautiful Arabia of Finland ceramic teapot. These are very hard to find back home, and they sell for a lot more than 15 euro.
I found this lighter I'm gonna get, and I'm just trying to think of, I want these little onyx things. They're really cute. And then this is pottery made in Stockholm. Little bottle caps on the bottom, so they're made out of the top of a bottle. Those are kind of cool. They're only 40 cents. It's kind of fun.
My favorite part about shopping with the group is seeing what they end up purchasing. I just love to see what other people get excited about finding. Now we are making our way back to the hotel, and we're going to be stopping at some really adorable vintage stores on the way. Vienna is just an incredible city, and I never feel like I have long enough to truly explore the city while we're there. But if you make a trip to Vienna, it is so much more than just for the Christmas markets and the vintage shopping. There are so many museums throughout this city, and many of them are free to enter. If you love history and art as much as we do, I highly recommend setting aside an entire day just to visit some of the beautiful cafes and museums. We were able to fit in a few on our final day in Vienna, and we got to see some true masterpieces.
Influencer in the wild.
With a full heart and amazing memories, we sadly said goodbye to our second and final group of travelers for 2025. And now Jessie and I are continuing on our own to Budapest. We are spending a few days in this beautiful city for a very special reason, which we can't share all the details about quite yet. So make sure that you are subscribed to our free newsletter so that you don't miss when we make some very exciting announcements soon. We're up to something else right now in Budapest, but we've got about an hour and a half to check out this flea market. It is massive, so we're gonna do our best to move through it quickly. Right now, I'm in research mode, so I'm trying to get an understanding of their pricing and learning more about the flea market culture and bargaining here in Budapest. But of course, I've got to pick up a few treasures along the way.
Jessie, look at the dog tapestry. That's neat. Windmill. Oh my goodness. These are incredible. Your face is looking at the faces is funny. We're very surprised.
Wow.
This is beyond what we had hoped for, and we have just walked in. So this is very, very exciting. This is why we love scouting out, to figure out where to bring you all. If you're into paintings, art glass, antiques of any kind, I mean, look at this platter right here. That's stunning. I've never seen anything like it. There's so much good stuff, and there's a lot of beautiful porcelain too. We like this bird. Yeah, the beak. Yeah, it's too bad. Yes, it's very nice still. My first purchase is this beautiful painted copper art piece. We actually ended up paying in euro. He preferred euros, and we got it for 15 euro. Oh my, look at this lady. She's on brass. That's spectacular.
Is she a cowgirl?
She is a cowgirl.
She's like a Hungarian cowgirl.
Yeah, I love her. This is gonna be fun. We've got lots of things to dig through. Okay, we just purchased these 3 pieces for 20 euro. Actually, it was 8,000 Hungarian, which is approximately 20 euro. Yeah, you think that's really from 1739? I feel like you could just find a Picasso here. I don't know why. Probably not, but I feel like you could. This is beautiful. That framed would be so pretty.
Well, this place is amazing and we already cannot wait to bring a group of you here. Let us know in the comments below if you would like to join us on a trip to Budapest someday, because this is the middle of winter and I can only imagine that these flea markets are bigger and better in the spring, summer, and fall.
No markings. It's just beautiful though. We're now obsessed with Hungarian pottery. Look how cute this set is. I love it. They've got little polka dots on them. Little carved wooden foot candle holders.
Oh.
So you put the candle and then it's the leg. Textiles are amazing here too. Everywhere I turn, there's just boxes of Hungarian textiles. That's pretty. A scarf. I love all the handmade needlepoint things. Yeah, there's just so much in here. This is Jesse's kind of digger. Look at all these records. I'm getting two small pieces of art, but I wanted to show you this one because look at it. It's a beautiful painting, but it's double-sided.
It's like a reversible jacket.
1956.
I think we need more reversible art in the world.
Turn your art around. Oh, that's beautiful too. Look at all these records.
I mean, they've been outside.
Yeah, they're
might
rough.
be a little warped. This is a rough collection.
Yeah, but look at how many there are.
So far the pricing has been really reasonable, and then on top of that, they're definitely doing some bargaining. This is so exciting. I can't wait to come back here with a group of you so we can pick our little hearts out.
This is absolutely incredible. All right, who's coming? Who's coming back with me? Because we're gonna have some fun shopping this unbelievable market that we didn't even have time to touch the surface in. I mean, look at this art. Well, you know, just a beautiful Art Nouveau frame just sitting here, probably for like $1. All right, we got both of the ladies. Look at them, they're so pretty. 200 euro. Actually, it was actually only 170 euro because that's all we had on us. And the frames are incredibly heavy, so we'll definitely be taking them out of the frames. But we're done. We have no more cash and we have 15 minutes to get back to our boat. But we are bringing you with us here next time. And I already can't wait. It's always so bittersweet when these group trips come to an end. They go so fast. It's like a year and a half of buildup because we start planning our group trips about a year and a half in advance. We sell them about a year in advance. So there's all this anticipation and excitement leading up to these trips. But once we meet with the group and things kick off, it goes so fast. So I'm always trying to ground myself on these trips in the moment and really cherish the memories. And that's part of why making these videos is so fun for me, because it's a way that I get to kind of freeze time and share it with you and bring you along with us. Okay, let's go ahead and dive in and talk a little bit more about some of the things that we found and also the experiences that we had while we were in these cities. I'm gonna go ahead and just start with two things that are actually not vintage. Now, one of the reasons that I love hosting these Christmas market group trips, and of course going on them as a traveler myself, is that you get to explore smaller villages along with bigger cities that have handmade items that are made there in that country. For example, Germany regulates all of their Christmas markets. So every item that's sold in one of their Christmas markets has to be made in Germany. Now, the larger cities still do have a lot of mass-produced items, but once you get out into the smaller villages like the 3 that we visited in Austria, that is where you start to really see more handmade items. One of my favorite markets that we visited was actually in Munich, one of the larger cities. Okay, pause the screen. I must be jet lagged still because Karlsplatz is in Vienna, not Munich, and I know that. It's all just a blur at this point. Let's go ahead and just resume, but please note Karlsplatz and where I bought this piece of pottery is actually in Vienna, Austria, not Munich. But it was our first time visiting this market. I've been to Munich for the Christmas markets on 2 previous trips in 2023 and 2024, but I had never made it to the Karlsplatz Christmas market. The setting of this market is absolutely stunning with the buildings all around, but the best part about this market is that a lot of the items were handmade, and it was actually the artisans who made the items there selling them. So it was a little bit more like a Saturday market, let's say in the States, where you have delicious food and you also have a mix of artisan goods. And this is the piece that I ended up purchasing. It is a handmade pottery vase, and I'll go ahead and pop up the information of the artist right here. I'm not positive if she sells online, but at least for those of you in Germany, I want you to know who makes this amazing pottery. So this little vessel is a vase, but I actually thought it would make a beautiful candle holder too. I love pieces like this that kind of double as both a vase and a candle holder. And I actually got this one for my windowsill in the kitchen because it's fairly narrow, as windowsills are. So I thought that this would be beautiful, kind of simple and minimal to have in my windowsill with some fresh cut flowers. On our group trips, we always have the main itinerary, which is what people know in advance they're booking and they're going for and is included in the trip. Sometimes we include what we call side quests during free time. And our guide Vanessa made magic happen. She knew how desperately I wanted to photograph Hallstatt, and so she was able to set up a driver to take us to Hallstatt directly from St. Wolfgang when we were visiting the 3 villages. Mary and Nadia joined me on our side quest, and the 3 of us had an amazing time. And one of the little cute shops that we stopped inside in the village was so quaint and small, and my favorite part about it was that you could actually see their little workshop area, and there was wood shavings absolutely everywhere. Mary called me from outside and she said, "Did you see the cats in the window?" And I had not. I'd walked right past them. So thank you, Mary, for pointing these out, because these are absolutely adorable. I love that they have the natural bark still on them, but then they have obviously the cat shapes cut out. We love our kitties. I'm actually looking at Jean-Pierre in a little cat bed right now as I'm filming this. So when I saw these, I was like, these are perfect. They can represent Jean-Pierre, who's a little bit more chill and laid back, and Lorenzo, who's always on the alert and always paying attention. He's such a smart kitty. These were 10 euro each. I think I might only pull these out for Christmas time, but I just thought they were so cute, and I love that the artisan was making them right there. Obviously, Budapest. Holy crickets. The flea market we went to was amazing, and I can't wait to share more on why we were in Budapest, because we originally did not book our flights to go there. It's like kind of slightly killing me inside because I can't share it yet, but I promise it's really big. It's really big and it's really exciting. Fingers crossed we're gonna be able to share it with you in January and let you know what Jesse and I have been up to behind the scenes this past year. So the flea markets in Budapest were absolutely incredible. And the best part was the art. I could not believe how much vintage art there was. I only ended up picking up a few smaller pieces of art. This trip was not technically a sourcing trip. Obviously, you know I'm gonna do a little bit of shopping, but this trip was primarily to host our group trips and to do some scouting for future trips. So I had to be incredibly selective, which, believe it or not, the more I travel and the more beautiful things I see, it actually gets easier, not harder. So I chose a few of our favorite small pieces of art, and I'm going to show those to you now. I love these wall mounting candle holders. They are so beautiful. These are probably from the early 1900s, and I found the pair of these when we were in Dresden at an antique store.
So these candle holders would have originally been probably attached to an actual piano. They were used back in the day to read piano sheet music. However, most people don't typically read their piano sheets by candlelight anymore, so these are oftentimes added into gallery walls or in powder bathrooms or anywhere that you need a little bit of extra candlelight. I love the simplicity of the design on this pair. They're not too over the top like a lot of the antique ones were. I also picked up this stunning brutalist style porcelain vase at that same store in Dresden. I absolutely love blue and white pottery. I collect it in each country that I go to. Blue and white pottery is so timeless and classic, and I love being able to mix things that I find literally all over the world. And because I picked a common theme, they all look beautiful together. This has to be one of my favorite oil paintings that I picked up on this trip and ever. I always think of Bob Ross when I see beautiful tree paintings. I'm always thinking, oh, look at those happy little trees in my head. And I'm such a big believer that all you need to add nature into your house is beautiful landscape paintings. They make such a beautiful impact.
The domed glass made it home safe and sound in my luggage. I'm actually going to show you how I packed this one because I did do something kind of a little bit different to make sure that it was well supported and that it didn't break.
So here is how I ended up packing this to make sure that it was nice and safe, because I put this in a checked luggage and I know that they get pretty tossed around on the airplanes. So I had this stunning textile that I got at the flea market, and then I had this beautiful tramp art frame. So I'll show you what I did. I used this textile to wrap it. So first I went ahead and placed the domed glass face up on the textile. I actually folded this over on top of it first, but let me show you what I did here because it'll be easier without it covered. So I used the negative space to kind of go over like this. Once this is wrapped up nicely, there was no way that anything was going to get to this glass. And then I actually put one more piece of flat art just for extra stabilization on the back side. And then I wrapped it up like a nice little present and made sure that it was nice and tight so that it couldn't move around in the luggage. I always bring packing materials, I always bring tape, I always bring bubble wrap, but a lot of the time, honestly, I end up using the other items that I purchase and just figuring out the best way to do it. I know not everyone's gonna love what I'm about to say, but I'm a big believer that when you buy something for yourself and it's a piece that you're gonna keep for your entire life, you can do whatever you want with it. So don't come at me too hard. So my plan for this one is to actually put a photo of Jessie and I that I took in front of Parliament, because the dried flowers aren't me, but this frame is so me, and I just feel like it would be such a special way to frame that photo of the two of us on that special trip. And dried flowers would be easy to add back into it too if I ever change my mind. But hands down, the most incredible find in Budapest that we picked up has to be this textile. This is one of the most beautiful textiles I have ever seen in my life. It is such a special antique piece. You can tell just by the backside how old this item actually is. The vendor said that this was originally made as a bed cover, although she said it would make a beautiful tablecloth also. And all of this stitching here is done with metal thread. And again, you can see it on the backside where they use the metal thread. This is exactly what I was dreaming of finding when I thought about going to Hungarian flea markets. When we plan our group trip there, we are for sure going back to that flea market, because I think between myself and the rest of the group, we're gonna buy that lady's entire stock out. It's so fun when you go to a new country and you kind of see different items than you do in other countries. I originally thought that this beautiful metal art piece was made in Russia because it looked like Russian on the back to me. But thankfully somebody commented and let me know that it was actually made in Georgia. And even though most of the writing is torn off, they were able to see the city in Georgia that it was made. So it's neither Hungarian or Russian, but it is in fact made in Georgia. So the language that's written on the back is Georgian. I've come across a few here at home, but that's over about 15 years of being a vintage reseller. I could not believe how many of these there were. I was being very selective, so I only picked up my two favorites, and of course they're beautiful ladies. I just love this kind of folk art. I believe that this was very common in Russia, Poland, Hungary. I need to do a little bit more research on it, but I just think that these are absolutely beautiful and they add so much interest to a gallery wall. Instead of just having paintings or mirrors, it's nice to have a variety of different items and textures and materials. I love this one. Now this is enamel on copper, and I love that it's actually framed as an art piece that you can hang on a wall. The colors on it are so pretty. I just love her. The Carla thrift stores in Vienna are probably one of our favorite thrifts and chains in all of Europe. They are massive, and we're so excited to take the group of travelers to that store. My favorite part about that specific store is that you walk in and it looks like you're walking into a freezer with the plastic hanging strips. That's just to keep the cold out and the heat in, but it's so funny. You just walk through these plastic hanging sheets and then you're like, ah,
and it is a massive thrift store filled with incredible things for really great pricing. When we do our sourcing trips, I try to always make sure that the travelers get to go pick first. So I'm kind of browsing and taking my time, letting everybody have a head start. But a gentleman did roll out a cart right in front of me. And so obviously I had to get this beautiful lighter. And then I also got 2 matching onyx candle holders. Simple, minimal, very classic and timeless. This one's gonna go to my lighter collection at the studio, but I am actually gonna sell these beautiful little onyx candle holders. These were only €1 each. A small but mighty haul. I love every single thing, and I think that's kind of the point of it all, isn't it? So that is a wrap for our Christmas markets trips of 2025. But it's time to announce what we have decided to launch for 2026, and I'm so excited to share this with you now.
We are excited to announce our last international group trip that we will be hosting in 2026. A 7-day winter journey across Finland. Imagine celebrating the holiday season like a storybook dream. Strolling through the iconic Helsinki Christmas market, marveling at craft stalls and sipping warm mulled wine in the heart of Finland's capital. We will visit antique shops around the town and even have an optional day trip by ferry from Helsinki to Tallinn, Estonia. We'll then board the legendary Santa Claus Express, traveling through snow-covered forests into the Arctic Circle. In Rovaniemi, the official hometown of Santa Claus, we'll enjoy the enchanting Santa Claus Village, have thrilling husky and reindeer experiences, and cozy up to crackling fires, having the chance to see the northern lights dance above the pines. This carefully curated 7-day winter escape blends festive city charm, Arctic adventure, and special shared moments with new friends. Jesse and I invite you to join us, making unforgettable holiday memories in one of the most magical places on Earth. Our Finland adventure starts Friday, December 4th, 2026, in the capital of Finland, Helsinki, and the trip will end in Rovaniemi Thursday, December 10th, 2026. We only have 25 spots for this group trip, and I know they're gonna go fast. So if this is on your bucket list, this trip will go live for booking on Wednesday, January 14th, 2026 at exactly 3 p.m. Pacific time on our website, leftcoastrevivals.com. So make sure you are on our website at exactly 3 o'clock, refresh that page, and it will take you to a link to request to book the trip. The full itinerary and pricing is all available now on our website. So head to leftcoastrevivals.com to check it out now.
Thank you so much for joining us virtually on this adventure abroad, and we will see you in a brand new episode here very soon.